But it's just knowing them and be willing to deal with them and address them, especially not from her tolerating it. But if I had that pessimistic or that negative attitude perspective, and I never changed over these 35 years, it's going to be a big problem. That deserves to be a red flag with her for me, so that's just something I wanted to share.
She just has so many green flags that your few little red flags are just, the green outweigh the red.
And that's probably a good summary point, when it comes to some of the things that we're actually talking about.
A history of failed relationships.
Number 9.
This is a really big one now. This is something that one of my friends, Jackie, she said this to me. She said, I'm always leery of women when they don't have any female friends. Or when people don't have any friends. Or you can't get along. It's like... Jackie's
so friendly, but anyway.
Yeah, Jackie is Miss Congeniality. But a part of this understanding that if life is about relationships. I think about in this past few weeks about how many people I got to see and spend time with, and people that I know from high school, and people that I've known since they were in college, and people that are a part of our family. No one is going to have every relationship in your family be resolved and reconciled and great. But if you have no one, when someone says I don't have anybody, that's really normally a me problem. Everybody can't be wrong. And so sometimes all of these red flags that we've not addressed and unpacked in our own self make it really hard for us to have relationships with other people, because relationships require communication. They require that you think about somebody. There's so many things about relationships that make us better, that when you meet someone who, especially if it's different when you're younger, but as you get older, if you've gone your whole life and you have no relationships, then that's something to really be aware of. And I always say, guys who don't treat their mom well probably won't treat you well either.
Sure. And when we talk about a history of failed relationships, this is focused primarily on the dating cycle, but if you see, this is going to probably be a common thread throughout all the relationships. They have disagreements with friends, they have disagreements with coworkers, they have disagreements with family.
That they don't resolve, because it's one thing you can have a disagreement with someone, and some relationships are worth fighting for, and if both people are willing to work for it. And in some relationships you have to realize that not all relationships you can have forgiveness without reconciliation. We have to understand that life is about, not that me and you don't ever disagree. You disagree, but how do you resolve them? How do you work through them? But both people have to want to do that. So if they have a history of relationships that are unresolved or reconciled, just all of them, then that, I would say, that's a major red flag.
Yeah, and this is the word of the day and the word of the I won't say of the year or last year or whatever, but I heard it a lot. Toxicity and those types of things. If someone is constantly using that word, more than likely
they may be the one that's toxic.
It's almost like if someone is constantly using the word toxic,
everybody can't be toxic.
Especially in the context of relationships, it's probably because they have a lot of failed relationships.
Yeah, and that go back to the pessimistic and negative. If you have a negative attitude, you're going to see everything through the glass as half empty, versus seeing that, well, yeah, people are human, they make mistakes, extend grace. So if there's a constant history of every failed relationships, that is a major red flag.
And then finally, for number 10, there is a big pressure for you to make a commitment.
Hi, I just met you. Let's get married. Hi, I just met you.
And it's not funny, but you find that if you find that you're pushing it too fast, to get to the point to whether it's a biological clock ticking, or you tired of being alone, or you tired of just failed relationships and those types of things, but you find that the next person you get with is like, let's make a commitment.
And another way that someone could be pressuring you for commitment is to be physical. If I just met you, I don't know you. We were talking about relationship hygiene. It is not healthy for you to say, how you doing, let's have sex. Someone who wants that type of commitment from you that fast, or any type of physical or financial or commitment, hey, can we move in? Hey, can I borrow your car? those are all commitments that you should make over time, because you need to see someone in different seasons and stages before you start making commitments to them. How could you commit to somebody you don't know?
Right. And that can be very challenging for you if you feel the pressure. But you also can be on the other end of that, where if you're the person that is initiating, you giving the pressure that, hey, or you find, I hear this, I seen this in a movie we were watching the other night, like trying to put a label or a name on the relationship. Okay, you just met someone and you've been dating a couple times.
Like, am I your girlfriend?
Why do you have to define what the relationship is?
Am I your fiance?
Yeah.
It's like, I just say hi.
Tell me that's not pressure if you're on the receiving end of that.
Yes.
You know, if you have seen that or even experienced that,
so
put that in the chat. Have you been on the receiving end of someone putting pressure on you to make a commitment to them? You know, that's a definite red flag of someone maybe a little self-focused. It kind of goes back to the one we kind of already talked about, number 4, constantly talking about themselves, that kind of thing. That self-centeredness, that kind of puts a unnecessary pressure on the relationship that it may not be able to withstand if you make a commitment too soon.
Yeah, because one of the things that I can say when Gil and I were dating, that he made me feel safe. I could be myself. We were watching the interview. There were a couple there talking about, when you find that person, you can just be yourself. That doesn't mean that I'm not being kind. I can be me.
Right.
That's important. You know, it's important to be able to find a safe space, and even with the people you're in relationships with, even not just dating, with your friends, it's important that you give people the genuine, authentic version of yourself.
Right.
And when you can't do that, and then they fall in love with or decide they want to be friends with that person, then guess what? That's not who you are. And so the reason why we want to show you and, go over these 10 red flags is because so many times we get in a relationship and we don't realize, oh my gosh, how did I get here? You got here because you ignored all of these signs. And that's why we talk about in the book the difference between dating and going out. It should be a progression. It's going to take time. Relationships should grow and flourish like a plant, not that you pop it in the microwave. Because if you don't allow it to have a healthy amount of time to grow and flourish, there's going to be some things you're going to miss.
And while this list, like we said at the very beginning, is not all inclusive, there may be other things that you've recognized and you've seen. This is just to give you a snapshot and an idea that we put in the book, the Singles Blueprint, to kind of give you a gauge for our singles that we've been talking to over the years, and maybe we have just thought about it and said, you know what, let's give them something that they can use as a guide,
a compass.
It's something to use that they can say, hey, this is something that I can be mindful about as I'm dating or I'm navigating the dating cycle, to be aware of. Maybe you're going to forget because you have these rose-colored glasses on because you feel that this may be the one. Well, the red flags are not an all-inclusive list that says if you see 1 or 2 that it's like a time to move on. No, it's just to make you aware of what's the real lay of the land as it relates to your relationship.
And it's primarily designed for you to make sure you're not a red flag. This book is not about how to find Mr. or Mrs. Right. This book is how to become the best version of yourself so you can give yourself to someone else. One of the things that I love, there are scriptures in here, there's Bible verses, but if I were a single and I'm trying to go on this journey of discovering myself, Proverbs is such a good place to kind of gain wisdom, because in the Hebrew culture, in order to get wisdom, they use the book of Proverbs.
Right.
And so Proverbs is a really good place to go to gather principles and understanding about yourself and in relationships. And so in addition to using the book of Proverbs, you could also use the Singles Blueprint, because it'll help you to kind of think about things you may have never thought about. And so if you guys are watching now or watching later, please put your questions, put your comments in the chat. Subscribe to our channel. I was looking at analytics. A great deal of you guys are watching, and we love you, and thank you for watching, and thank you for commenting. But please subscribe, because when you subscribe and you comment, that allows YouTube to know that this is something that other people should be watching. And so we appreciate you guys watching, and we appreciate you guys joining us in different cities. The next city we'll be in is Montgomery, Alabama. We're going to be at Sweet Creek. at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, and we're also going to be from 2 to 4 we'll be at Sweet Creek, and from 5 to 7 we'll be with the Beautiful Boutique. The location is to be determined, but I would love to meet you guys in person and connect with you and let you guys get your own signed copy of the Singles Blueprint for Dating and Marriage.